Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of How She Owns It. This time around, it's the self-leadership edition, and I am so excited to welcome another powerhouse woman to the show, Stacy Schaffer. Stacy is a child, adolescent, young adult therapist, and she is also an author with an incredible book that is called With Love from a Children's Therapist. I'm hoping that I've got all of that correct, but I'm going to hand over to Stacey because you're going to be able to better introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about yourself. So I'll hand over to you so you can do that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me.
Awesome.
As you said, I am a child, adolescent, young adult therapist in private practice, and I have been for approaching 20 years. And so I have heard a lot of similar things through the years from kids. And so I really wanted to share with the world things that maybe if you didn't have the luxury of bringing your kids to counseling, like that you could have some insight, or, just kids in your life, or, if you were ever 11. And so then when I started doing my own healing work, about a decade ago, I was like, oh, I have things to say. Okay. So I'm like, let's extract those things when we've healed enough to talk about them, and let's combine them together and transmute them into something beautiful and helpful for the world. So that's when With Love was born.
Would you mind just sharing with everybody, just because I feel like they need to know, because you shared it with me, what your favorite color is before we dive into this?
It's definitely purple, and but everything I own, like, but I have two offices. It's my thing when I leave stuff behind. And fun fact, my book got picked up. It's so random in Korea,
Oh,
and like someone stumbled across it and then like submitted it to a translator, and it's currently being translated. And so I signed rights to do that, and I signed the right to have a different cover. And so I'm like, I'm fine with that, but can you keep it purple? It's like my signature. And they said, actually, in Korea, purple symbolizes death, and we don't think it would do well with your demographic. Is that a deal breaker? I'm like, no, it's just the first thing people are going to ask me when they see it in Korean. So, fun fact. There you go. There's your fun fact for the day.
that's amazing. So I feel like we've got so much to talk about, and I'm really excited to have this conversation. But I would love you to start by telling us and sharing with the listeners what self-leadership looks like, means to, feels like to you.
I think that for a long time, I like contracted out my self-worth, that I let other people kind of tell me who I am, because I grew up really wanting to please the adults around me, and I never was successful because it's just like, never really works. And so I think prior to doing like so much of my own work, I didn't own my own voice. And that there were situations that I can point to that I felt paralyzed because I didn't have a voice. So I think in doing my work and writing my book has really helped me to be in like congruence, like to have my insides match my outsides. And I feel in charge now. And I feel that I have the power behind my own voice. And it's amazing. Big fan.
I think so many people relating to this are probably going to, sorry, so many people watching this are going to relate to the fact that the way you phrased it was perfect. You contracted out your self-worth. So I think as women, particularly, we're really good at doing that until we realize that's what we're doing. And then we're like, okay, I want to look at this and see how I can own my own worth even more. So it's really interesting that you said that. And is there a story or a lesson that you could share that shaped the way that you lead and the way that you now own your voice and change the way, I guess, that you almost chose to show up for yourself?
Yeah, I think in one in particular. So the biggest trauma in my life was when I was 11, and I what it was we don't have time to delve into that. I mean, good, but um, I was basically missing for a year. And but my like, to everybody other than my mom, like my mom knew where I was. Like paid to have me sent to one of those places because she was dying of breast cancer and thought it would be a good idea, but that was like the worst year of my life and the most abuse that happened in my life. So, long story long, childhood friend. I grew up in Las Vegas, which isn't my fault. It's not my fault. That lived 5 houses down. I live in Colorado now, and she moved like a decade or so ago to a town like an hour and a half away. So we met up for brunch, and we're chatting, and then in the middle of us laughing, she's like, "What happened that year that you disappeared?" And I was like, "What?" And she was like, "I went to your house, and your mom said that you ran away and slammed the door in my face, and my dad said families have secrets." And like, what happened? And in that moment, I was frozen in time. Like, I had started to talk about it in therapy, but I wasn't talking about it with the greater world. And I was frozen, and I changed the subject, and I cried the whole way at home. And I called someone who was like a mom figure, and I was like, I couldn't tell her. And she's like, "One day you'll be able to." And so I started doing my healing work, and then my started writing about that year in my book. And I messaged her in January, and I said, hey, so I got picked up by a publisher, and my book release party is in May. And she's like, "I'll be there." And so I was up front. They were like interviewing me about the book. And I was telling, she's sobbing. She's sobbing. And I'm telling the story, and I'm like, I didn't have a voice then, but I own my voice now. And so that was a significant turning point that I was like, it's my story. I want to be
Yeah.
able to tell it. There you go.
And I think there's so much to be said as well about different stories and different parts of our lives. And you're quite right, it's your story, it's your voice. You should get to choose when you share that or how it's shared as well. And that's not always the case, is it? So I mean, I'm just, it's so inspiring to hear the things that you've shared with me and then sort of hear you sharing other things, and yet you've written a book and everything else. Like, you just, your energy is so infectious as well. I'm sure you've been told that before, but it is super bubbly, super infectious. um how would you say, because just that story that you've just shared there alone obviously was clearly a difficult one. Perhaps you might describe it as your messy beginning, not necessarily messy middle, maybe a lot of uncertainty. But how do you think you've stayed rooted in who you are? Or how do you stay rooted in who you are and stay true to your own voice and owning your own worth during messy times, uncertain times, traumatic times? Is there anything that you do in particular that you, or yeah, how do you do that?
Yeah. So I mean, my like earliest trauma started at 3, and so it was a real bad childhood. It was real bad. And so when remember making the conscious decision, when I returned home from Utah, that I was like, that was then, this is now, we're starting over. And so I like can point to that thought process where I kind of built a life on perfection and grades and performance, and it felt like my insides and outsides didn't match. And so it when I started like doing work and opening up, because you can bury it until it comes back, because it eventually comes back. Like I tell kids, you can hide the shameful thing that happened, but it's like putting food in your room and putting clothes on it. Like you can hide it until you can't, it'll start to stink. And so like when stuff started coming out sideways. So I think it's really important to me, that I feel true to myself, like that I'm living authentically, and that I'm not hiding,
Mm.
and that like I have like close friends around me that I'm being really authentic with. And I kickbox, so I punch bags so I don't punch people. Real important, real important.
Probably a good practice to adopt. You don't want to be in prison, do you? Because maybe
I don't think it, yeah, because like I've never seen like jumpsuits in purple. They're like orange or like, and so that's enough. I know, and I like food, so.
You'd probably have time to write another book. That would maybe be a positive because plenty of people do that, don't they, when they're in there? But yes, the jumpsuit would not be a cute purple. It would be orange, definitely.
No, it's like not a good look.
No.
And I have a therapy dog, and so that would be hard for her.
What kind of dog have you got? I feel like everybody
You
needs,
want to see her?
would love to.
Okay. Her name is Willow, and she likes purple too.
I bet.
Hi, Muffin. Good morning.
Oh, she's adorable.
This is Willow. She
Oh,
was just sleeping. But she's a year old golden retriever. And I posted it in my story yesterday because a kid dressed her up and I put it to the song Life of a Showgirl.
oh my
Um,
God.
and so
She's so chilled. She's tired.
she has a hard life, you know?
Yeah.
Like, she's only had one pup cup today, and she doesn't know what to do when I'm on Zoom or like podcast because like no one's petting her. But she's the mascot at kickboxing, so they adore her.
I bet. I mean, it's hard being that cute,
It's
basically.
re-
It's
it's
like,
really challenging. Is it so hard being Willow? She's like, yeah, so mommy can't go to jail because I need my pup cups and to be massaged.
definitely. So when you talk about authenticity and being your authentic self, what does that look like when you're with the people that you can be that version of you with, would you say?
I mean, I think that it is like in the like I'm fine piece, because I think that we are really quick to say that because we don't want people to see like the messy, and so I have like really good friends that I can be like, no, like I hate everything today and everything's the worst, but also like, do you want to get dinner? You know, and so I think that it's important to like feel like there's like unmasking, but since I have been living a more congruent life, I don't feel that disconnect. Like I feel like I'm showing up as I am, and a lot of that is because the energy isn't going towards hiding and being like, "No, everything's fine, everything's polished," and you know that I don't feel like in my book that there is anything that I'm not willing to talk about, and that it's like I'm not like on edge, like don't ask me the one thing I don't want to talk about because like I own it now, it's mine.
And I think that's such a powerful thing. You've shared it in your way. And so you are now willing to have whatever conversation perhaps anybody wants to have with you. I can totally relate to your energy being depleted when perhaps you're not showing up as who you truly are. Because I am a recovering people pleaser. I'm sure I will always be that way. And I've just always want to be liked by everybody. Until I got to the place of realizing that actually I don't actually like everybody on the planet either. So if that's true, then the same can be true that people can be okay with not liking me, and I can be okay with them not liking me. But I think for years and years, I used to show up as the version of me that perhaps I thought they wanted to see, or they needed to see, or they expected to see. And that looked like wearing a different mask. And that is exhausting, isn't it? It's so exhausting. So I can really relate to that.
Yeah, and like I don't know if you're into the Enneagram at all.
I've heard.
um okay, so I'm a two, and that's like that, it's like kind of like cornerstone of two is like is people pleasing. So I can connect with that because I used to believe that if everyone liked you, it would keep you safe. But and I, to your point, I feel like I learned recently that it's not your job to make everyone like you. Like I feel like this was a recent lesson that I was like, oh, like you could be the sweetest orange, someone not like orange juice, and I'm like, I like me, and that's what matters. So like, okay. As you guys would say, bugger off. Is that what you say? Bugger?
Well, that is a phrase that we would use. I would, because I do like to swear, and my favorite word is the F word. So I would probably say fuck off, but we can go with bugger. We can go with bugger. That's fine.
I'll say bug off too. Yeah, that's really funny. Yeah, like what the podcast I was on earlier, like what's the thing that you would want to say about people who didn't like appreciate your transparent or whatever? And like, I was like, well, the first thing that came to mind is swearing. And she's like,
Yeah. I'm married to a Scottish man, and every other word is a swear word. So, I do
oh,
like,
fun fact.
yeah, I quite like, sometimes it feels very cathartic to get it out and just swear and just say it. And then I'm just like, amazing, I can get on with the rest of my day.
Well, and it's funny you say that because I've been tossing around in my head making a video for social media about controversial opinion. I don't think it's a big deal when kids swear in therapy because the world's on fire. And so, in the scheme of things, because, like I'm sure you guys hear all about America,
Mm.
um, not very proud, but so, I mean, they're words.
Yeah. I think obviously people have different opinions, don't they, about adults swearing, let alone children swearing. But like you said, in the grand scheme of things, with what is going on across the entire planet, that is not the end of the world, is it? If that happens, oh gosh, no, that is like furthest from the end of the world.
Right?
Yeah,
Let's pick our battles, shall we?
100%. And just picking up on your comment where you'd said you can be the sweetest and the nicest person, but not everybody likes orange juice and things. My realization came when I just realized that I don't like everybody, so everybody doesn't need to like me. But the thing that has stuck with me, and it's my phrase now, and people repeat it back to me, is I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I am many people's glass of champagne. So, yeah,
Oh,
and I love
steal.
champagne. Yeah. So, leads
I
the
can.
I
I'm gonna steal that.
do like tea as well, but I love champagne. So it's interesting the way different people see it, and the similarities though in how that we perceive the world and things.
Yeah, I love that line. I'm gonna steal it.
You can steal it, but just remember it's mine. It came.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I get it. I'm an only child. I'm very territorial over things, so I get that that's yours.
I'm just joking.
I know, as am I.
Yes. Well, good.
Not
So,
joking about being an only child, but
well, I'm an only child as well. So to
oh,
be
we know how to share. Am I right?
100% know how to share. Yes, we do. I'll come and borrow your dog soon. That's the thing that I'd like to share. Will you share Willow?
She like opened her eyes and her eyebrows went. Yeah, I would. She's a community dog because I can bring her everywhere, and so like she's known at my like grocery store. Like I see people looking because it says therapy dog in training, and so I see like strangers look at her and I'm like, "You want to pet her?" And they're like, "Can I?" I'm like, "Her job is to provide comfort and affection." And they're like,
Oh.
"Because I know you're not supposed to." I'm like, "It's always important to ask, but I'm offering because I would want to." Like she's adorable.
So, what do you want other women to know watching this, how they can own it or about owning it in terms of self-worth, their voice, basically every single part of them?
I would say to know like that there's so many better things on the other side of your fear and vulnerability. Because I used to think, when I was like not talking about my story, like but my mom died when I was 22. So basically I like built a career on like grief recovery and I would talk about that. But that I felt like if I talked about the before, um, I would be disqualified in some parents or people's like opinion because my backstory is so dark. I was worried that it would like disqualify me in a way. But what I've learned is that like actually that freedom feels amazing. And also it shows that I am qualified, that I know what I'm talking about. That it's the opposite. So I would challenge like people to like think about what's the flip side of your fear? What could be? Like you might think in worst case scenario, what's best case? Because I feel like I'm living best case.
Do you feel as though really absorbing that and owning it and the experiences that you've had actually make you an even better therapist and the person better qualified, as you say, to actually help the kids that you're helping? And even just, does it kind of um ooze out into your other relationships and make you a better friend, a better partner, a better relative, a better whatever because of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. There was a kid the other day that, and I like wrote about something similar in the book that said, like, do you think I'm crazy because I'm in counseling? And I'm like, dude, I met with your grand therapist on Tuesday, and so they're like, you see one, and I was like, life is hard, man. Have you been outside? Have you been outside? And I'm like, and they're like, really? And I'm like, fun fact, you have a great grand therapist. So I don't know beyond that, not my business, but I know that to be true. And so I think like when kids are like, oh my, like my Stacy, because I'm shiny, right? Like, but also I'm real. Like I'm a real girl. And so I think knowing that like there's not an arrival, that kids like they don't have to like fake it for me, that I'm like, yeah, of course you're in therapy. Like you live in America and it's in 2025. And so, not saying it's not hard other places, but
Yeah.
it's not peachy keen around here. And so, I think like being able to just to say that is healing for them, and it's healing for me that I'm like not waiting for you to like ask me the one thing, because kids can see through like lies or hiding, and so that I'm not hiding anything. Obviously, they don't know my story, but that I'm not hiding some realities that could be appropriate.
And I think it's so, so powerful that even though they don't know your story, you are clearly using some of that to help them on their journeys because you've lived a life and you've got all of those experiences and that knowledge and those skills and the empathy and the understanding and the relatability and the compassion probably on a way deeper level as well. And I think it's such a powerful thing. I just think I was chatting with a lady the other day who works with teens. And so she works with teens and she works with midlife women. So the teens that she works with, she's trying to teach them not to give an F about what people think, to be them, so doing all the things before life chips it all away. And then the midlife women, she's working with them to unlearn all of the things that
Right.
so she's like both spectrums. But I just said, what a world is it going to be when these kids that you're working with in your practice and these kids that she's working with and all the different people around the world that are working with children, what a world is it going to be when they are growing up and they're our age because of everything that they've learned
Yes.
earlier and the support that they've had earlier, that and the fact that they're going to know it's okay to be them, it's safe to be them, more confidence, more self-worth, more just them. And I just think like, wow, what a world is that actually going to be?
I know. Like I say to parents in intake, can you imagine having a therapist when you were 10? And they're like, yeah, that would have been a lot better. Like,
Yeah.
and so I think like offering them that support young, and they're gonna feel that. So when they eventually might need therapy when they're adults, because that they have a good solid foundation and good felt sense that it feels safe.
Yeah, definitely. And that feels so exciting. That it's going to be a much better world, I feel
I,
like, because
I hope so.
I'm sure we can only do what we can do, but I just think the ripple effect of what's going to come and then the people they are going to teach the next people. It's just going to be a totally different, crazy world. Something that you shared with me that I just wanted to share because it really kind of struck me and I really, really loved it. Is that you shared that I think you'd said that this is part of what you believe self-leadership is. It's becoming the would have
Mm.
needed. And I just that's such a powerful thing because I do
Yeah.
think self-leadership is taking care of yourself as well and showing up for yourself and fully backing yourself through anything that happens in life. And I think it's loving yourself through it all. So just the way that you put that, it's becoming the adult that your younger self needed, would have trusted, would have wanted.
Yeah, there's a chapter in my book called hashtag Get Your Own Stacy, and it's like do your inner work because I had a kid yell that at their dad in my waiting room, and I was like, that's a good line. And so the me who I am, it would have changed the course of my history at any given point in my childhood. And so my hope is that I continue to like be that safe place, and the more work I do, the safer I am.
100%. And I feel like that's the perfect place to leave it and such a message to share. So for anybody that is loving Stacy and that wants to get their own Stacy and wants to come and follow you, where can they find you on socials, or where do you hang out?
I hang out on so Instagram at it's Hope Restored. It's the two words combined to one, Hope Restored, and then Stacy Schaffer on Facebook. And then my publishing company made me a website, authorstacyschaffer.com, for people interested in my book. So you can read about my book, and then there's a link to buy it. On Spotify, Audible. I did my own audiobook. And so it's this voice. And Amazon, Barnes and Noble. And then there's also like a page on there to contact me, a contact me form if you wanted to reach out to me. But hope people love it and review, but don't rate and review if you don't love it.
I will drop all of the links that you've just shared and any others that you want me to share in the show notes when we actually do share the show. I hope that you have found this as fun
Yeah.
and as exciting and just a very bubbly conversation. I've just like the energy's just been very fun, laid back. Just felt like a conversation, and I hope that everybody watching has enjoyed it as well. If you want to go and connect with Stacey, go and have a look at her on Instagram. Like I said, I'll drop all the links and everything in the show notes so you can go and find her there. I have already downloaded your book, by the way, on Audible, so I will be listening to it because I thought I need to have a look at that.
Oh, thank you. It's me. It's me.
It's you, yes. But for anybody watching, thank you for watching. Please do feel free to let us know your thoughts in the comments. Tell us what your favorite part of this conversation was. That would be cool and interesting for us to see whether you related to any of it, whether whatever you found, what your biggest takeaway was. And I will see you again very, very, I can't speak today, very, very shortly for the next episode.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.